Y'all are. It's your buddy George Jones over here at the Bergen Gun Range with my next installment on Hey, let's redo a video. The video we're going to redo is one of the very first videos on my channel is of this rifle, the Remington 30S Express rifle. Okay, so this is a pretty interesting rifle in terms of the history behind this gun, because this gun started out being this gun, the Remington M1917 service rifle, sometimes referred to as a P17. Now, Remington manufactured these rifles. Winchester manufactured these rifles. These rifles manufactured in the Eddystone Arsenal and for World War I. Now, the British had a similar rifle and a similar, he's almost exactly the same gun, in caliber, oh geez, it's springtime, you know, in caliber 303 or .77 British Enfield. Okay, so when the U.S. entered the war, they were already producing these rifles in 303 British or .77 rim British Enfield. So they immediately switched gears and started producing these rifles as an American rifle in caliber 30-06. This has and these are very recognizable guns by two things, and that's this big hump on the back of it and that big wing protective front sight. Okay, so they produced about, I don't know, several 100,000 of these guns between Remington and Winchester. At the end of the conflict, World War I, in November of 1918, on the 12th day of November, the day after the war ended, the federal government pulled the rug out from under the manufacturers of this rifle in the United States, and the manufacturers were stuck with them. They were stuck with several 100,000 of them between the two of them, Remington, Winchester, and so forth. So they were sitting on the docks ready to be shipped and went back to the factory. They were in the hands of trainees in the field in America, and they went around and collected them up. You know, the U.S. had several thousand of them on inventory, and they just put them in the armory and left them there. So Remington and Winchester were stuck with them. So what to do? Well, they figured somewhere along the lines there would be another conflict somewhere, and the contract would be renewed, and they would have a certain number of firearms that they would be able to instantly put up that had previously been accepted. Along come the Depression. And all of a sudden you couldn't sell a high-end Remington or Winchester sporting rifle. And it was necessary for the gun companies to come up with something that they could sell in a depressed economy. So what did they do? Well, Remington and Winchester came up with about the same idea at just about the same time. And that idea was this. Now, this is a Remington 30S Express. It's in caliber 30-06, and it is a Remington U.S. rifle caliber 30 1917 that has been converted at the factory to being a commercial sporting rifle. So what they've done is the old sling swivels that were on it, I removed them and replaced them with new Michaels of Oregon sling swivels in the 1 1/8 inch to accept the military style sling. The old dogleg bolt remains. They have replaced the rear sight by cutting down the hump completely, checkering the sight plane, okay, down the receiver. They milled off all of the military information from the receiver and re-rolled Remington Model 30S Express and the serial number. They took the original 30-06 barrels and turned them on a lathe and took the humps out of them, the steps out of them, and re-rolled the barrels. Springfield 30 cal 1906 for the caliber, and then Remington Arms Co. Inc., Remington, Ilion, New York, you know, made in the USA. Replaced the front sight arrangement with this. Put a target crown in the end of the barrel. I don't know if they reworked the stocks or not, or they used a new manufactured stock. I don't know which. Now, the military stock would be in new condition, so they could simply worked it down and made it into a sporting configuration stock with cut checkering, fore and aft. They installed a new steel checkered investment cast butt plate, which is branded Remington, and basically put this gun out for $22 retail, something like that, during the Depression. And they had a sporting rifle that they could sell during the Depression. They also rebarreled these guns and offered them in .257 Roberts, and I'm not 100% sure, but maybe .270 Winchester. Okay. Remington Winchester did the same thing. Their models were almost identical to the Remington. Their finished sporting models were almost identical to the Remington, and they were called, or they were the 30M rifle. So that's how basically the U.S. rifle caliber 30 1917 became a sporting rifle and a factory manufactured sporting rifle, or a factory remanufactured military rifle sold as a sporting rifle from the factory. Now you see these, and I've seen these guys, and I've seen people say, well, that's old 1917 or a P14 that somebody sporterized, and it just isn't. For all intents and purposes, it's a new factory gun, okay, in their catalog. Having said all of that and talked about the history of these guns, let's shoot-a-tate them. I got an idea. Let's be a shoot-a-tating them. People like it when I shoot-a-tate guns out here, and I have just put up a new collection of targets out there. So let's turn the old camera around and see what we can demonstrate. We're not very fancy here. I'm going to get that camera to where it'll look down range and see something down there. Yeah, I think we can do this. Let's try a little cinematography if we can. Okay. Oh, it won't do that. All right. So it's a looking down range. Let me get me some ear mufflers on. Peeper protection, and then we'll see if I can hit a target at 125 yards with a World War I vintage gun. First we'll try the U.S. rifle caliber 30 1917. Takes a stripper clip very nicely. Okay. And let's aim that gun down there and see if we can actually hit something with it. All right, here we go. Steel silhouette. We hit it. Boop. A little low on me. A little low on me. All right. Well, I ain't hit it yet, but it knows I'm here. Let's try this one more time. I haven't shot this gun in 2 years, but it's a poor craftsman that blames his tools. It's a dead miss right there. I ain't doing too good. I may be embarrassed. Yeah. Won't be the first time I ever look foolish on camera. Let's try and hit it this time. Oh, got to take a gun off safe. That's the thing. He hit it yet. Oh, I'm sucking the buttermilk today. Maybe that's not a steel target. Maybe that's a sofa pillar down there. All right. Let's try a little Kentucky windage and elevation right here. Well, finally, oh, I got the dope now. Now that I'm out of ammo, I got the dope. All right, that's enough of that. Let's try the express rifle, see if I can shoot it any better. If I can shoot it any better. And yes, you can put 5+1 in a U.S. rifle caliber 30 1917. Well, I answered that question a lot back when I made the first video. There we go. Yeah. Can do a little bit better with my Uncle Beecher's deer rifle. Yeah. Try the big gong, see if I can hit it. I can. All right. Got that rifle warmed up, shooting good. Let's go on with it. It's starting to get good to me now. Good hot 30-06 down the boot. That'll do it every time, but that'll wake you right up. One more. Let's go one more. Atari, I tell you. Yeah. My Uncle Beecher Pierce bought this rifle from an old man in our town, Mr. Correll, back years ago in the mid-1960s. And he owned a company that sold International Harvester equipment, International Harvester trucks, and pickup trucks. And out of the back of his business, he dealt in guns. All kinds of guns. I loved going there when I was a little kid. Of course, he's long since gone. The building's gone. My daddy told me that my Uncle Beecher bought this gun from old man Correll for $20. This is the first gun I ever killed a deer with. First high-powered rifle. I think the first one I ever killed, I killed with a 12 gauge with a 20 or 12 gauge with a pumpkin ball in it. This is the first high-powered rifle I ever deer hunted with, and the first high-powered rifle I ever took a deer with. Everybody in our family has killed a white-tailed deer with this gun. They would go to Uncle Beecher and borrow it and go out and kill a deer with it and take it back. I killed deer with it 2 years in a row, and the third year somebody beat me to it. Uncle Beecher went in a rest home when he got to where he couldn't care for himself anymore. And last year he died of the COVID in the rest home. And I got a real problem with that, to tell you the truth. They could have treated him better. Anyway, my cousin Tony, his son, got 4 guns from him before he went into the rest home, and they started liquidating his property. And Tony gave me this rifle. So this is a family heirloom rifle to us. And I shoot it rather well, and it's a nice rifle. If you see one of these guys around today, 30S Express or 30M in any kind of condition at all, with the Williams sights on it, or sometimes you see the Lymans on them, they're worth quite a bit of money in today's market. They're worth $500-600 in the 30-06 and considerably more in the 257 Roberts caliber. This is something to think about. I just wanted to show these 2 rifles. Again, I've got videos on each of them separately, but I wanted to bring them out and show them together and give a little bit better history on them. If you like this sort of thing, just keep right on watching it. Leave me a $1 in the Patreon bucket if you want to. If you don't, I'll keep right on making content for you. It looks to me like the COVID situation is getting a little bit better. They seem to have a vaccine that's working. People aren't dropping dead from taking it. People's attitude is becoming a little bit more hopeful about it. I still wear a mask some places. You know, if I'm going into a really crowded area or there's a mob of people in Walmart or someplace like that, I don't like to go Walmart anyway. But, you know, if I have to go in someplace, there's a crowd of people in a convenience store or something, I got that old mask up in my back pocket, I'll still take it out and put it on. You know, because I could pick it up and carry it to somebody else that wasn't fully vaccinated. I trust the vaccine. My doctors trust the vaccine. I've had it now for about 4 months. I've not gotten sick or had any ill effects from it. Now, not to say that, you know, I won't sprout another head or grow a tail next year. Okay? But, you know, you're not taking the mark of the beast when you get the shot and all that crazy stuff. You know, I'm vaccinated against polio, and people said the same stuff when they had the polio vaccine. You know, I'm vaccinated against rubella. It was a real killer when I was a kid, you know, and they come up with a rubella vaccination and everybody started getting it. Nobody died. You know, nobody turned into the devil. Nobody started voting wrong. You know, nobody grew a tail. You know, we should come up with something for malaria. That'd help me out. All right, I'm dragging on now. Like, take, share, commentate, and subscribe. Be kind to one another. God bless everyone, and we'll see you when we see you. Bye now. Try this one more time. How y'all are? It's your buddy George Jones over here in my gun room, or as my wife likes to call it, that junk hole down at the end of the hall. Let's talk a little bit about magazines, particularly magazines for AR-15s. Now, part of my duties as the caretaker and range officer and coach and so forth at the Bergen gun range is to clean out the trash barrels and sort what can be burned in the burn barrel against what has to go out to the curb. And I keep finding these in the trash. Yeah, P-mags. I keep finding these things in the, make sure we got this right. Yeah, P-mags. I keep finding these guys in the trash. And what happens is when you burn this thing, the spring jumps out and throws burning plastic all over the place. So I pick them up, and apparently they're not as good a magazine as people let on that they are, because this is 2021, and in 2020 I probably picked 50 of these out of the trash. Of course, I take the spring out of them, and then we just burn them in the burn barrel. And then, you know, I was over today, and there was 2 more of these things in the trash. People get fed up with them, and they just throw them away. You find a lot of plastic Toolman magazines. Occasionally even find an old Ramline magazine that they haven't made since 1994. Turns out these guys ain't as good as they advertise them to be. Recently, a young man who is completed all of his Marine training and is going to his permanent post came home on leave, and he had absolutely nothing good to say about them. I mean, you know, they're pretty terrible in the long term. So if you bought a bunch of these as a hedge against hard times, you might want to think about something else. Throw that away, now I'm done with it. I'm going to show you something else. This is what is this? Omega Mag. This is a beautiful steel magazine, very nicely made. Omega. It's interesting. I I actually paid money for this magazine. I bought it at a gun show because I thought it was interesting and that it was innovative. What you do is you take the front of this magazine, if you can do it, break it loose, and then you can simply load all of your cartridges into the magazine from the front, okay? And then when you're done, you just close it up. And when you do, the pressure comes onto the follower and about 20 rounds go flying out the top of it. Every time. I've never shot this magazine in a gun. You can't get it loaded. I'm considering just loading it the conventional way and using it that way. But, you know, it's a joke. It's a very well-made, expensive joke. Okay. Ranger mags. Commando mags. Now, this is a magazine I've had for a long. This set is I've had this for a long time. I used to use this magazine as my primary mag back in the days when we were cutting pot all the time. Basically, what it is, it's a chunk of cardboard folded up in the middle to give you the, you know, space, and then it's taped together down here at the bottom. So taping magazines together in the long run is a bad idea because as you shoot the gun, the magazine vibrates and it destroys this, your magazine lock cut, and gets the magazine into a situation where it doesn't work. I mean, it looks cool, buddy. It looks cool when it's on the gun. But in the long run, you know, it's not a great idea. But for a little while, you know, you've got 60 rounds right there in your hand. You know, you put that one up in there, and when it's empty, you can push the button with your thumb and drop it out and stick the other one up right up in it. You know, and it's a good idea for a little while. You use it a lot in this configuration, the excess weight of the second magazine puts twice as much wear on your magazine lock cut and on your magazine catch. Just something to think about if you take a notion you're going to tape a bunch of magazines together and use them all the time. Not a good idea. And on a plastic magazine, they wear out even faster. Well, that's about the size of it. A little bonus content on the end of a video. Like, state, share, commentate, and subscribe. Leave me no $1 in the Patreon bucket on the way out the door if you want to, and if you don't, I'll keep right on making content for you. Join the NRA. We're really going to need them the next few years. All right. See y'all.